Welcome back to the Angel Clark Show. It is Thursday. That means it is the Liberty Train. Choo-choo. And here's what we're doing this Thursday. You see, the last Wednesday of every month, we are normally joined by Survivor Jack. SurvivorJack.com is his website. And he talks about basically different things that you can do to prepare and be ready in case of Z-Day, any kind of emergency, really. And we decided this month that we were going to be joined by him on Thursday as opposed to Wednesday. So Thursday is the Liberty Train. We have a liberty-oriented person come on and speak to us about all kinds of things from their perspective. And I think that today is no different. We're joined by Survivor Jack. And what we're going to be doing for this segment is something I think that it needs to be done, is a kind of a back to basics. We haven't talked about, we haven't talked about the basics for prepping and being ready in case of an emergency for quite some time, Jack. So I want to thank you so much for sticking around and joining us this evening. And so let's start with, I don't know, what kind of things should we have in case of an emergency?
Well, you kind of got to break it down into a couple of things. And so my broad philosophy is, if I'm prepared for the worst, then I should be able to handle anything else at least better than that. So if it's a car wreck, I've got to look at what my car is set up like. If it's something catastrophic like an earthquake, a tornado, train derailment with chemical spills, those call all sorts of different situations in mind. But most of us are going to look at our home as at least our first resource. And so how do we stock our houses and how do we stock our cars? And that's where we begin our survival basic discussion. But the truth is, it always comes down to this: no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, no matter anything else, if the disaster strikes, it always begins with what I know and what I've got on or around me.
That,
now,
you know what? Yes, you're absolutely right. If in case it's like every time that there's word there's going to be a blizzard. Right. So what happens then is what everyone does is they go to the store, and the first things to go are bread and milk and eggs. For some reason, people consider those to be necessities in case of blizzard. I don't understand why. Why is bread so important in case of blizzard? But those are the first things to go. So what happens is you go to the grocery store and suddenly they're out of bread.
Exactly. And if you look back at many of the major disasters, you will see that the shelves are completely empty in many cases. This means that to be prepared, that you have to be which means before, paired. You got to have all of those things that you might need.
Yeah. Because
your choice is, do I want to go into a disaster prepared, or would I rather go into a disaster totally unprepared? Well, I think most of us realize that we've got car insurance, house insurance, health insurance, life insurance. And by the way, that life insurance thing, it's a phony name. It's death insurance.
Yeah, that's true.
If you want real life insurance, this is where you commit to live. And this is where you start to say, you know what? What would it take for me to live through? And if it's a car wreck, it might be simply cutting the seatbelt and breaking the window to get out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
But how many of us have a glass breaker and a seatbelt cutter?
Oh, I do.
Good.
Yeah, I don't even drive though, but I do have one. I have a flashlight that's built in, and it's got this fun little, it's got like a seatbelt cutter in it, and it's also got a tip that you can use for breaking glass. And and it's got, I think it turns into some kind of flare too, and it's got like a loud alarm thing too, so you can like press the button and it makes this loud alarm go. And it was only like $20.
Cool. Now, if you don't drive, Do you carry that in your purse in case you're riding with one of your lady friends rather than, say, your husband in the same, in the family car?
No, I keep pepper spray, a stun gun, and a knife in my car or in my purse.
Okay, cool. That's
of course,
great for personal defense.
Of course, I've got a trip coming up and I have to fly, and I can't take those things with me thanks to the TSA. So what can I take instead?
Well, one, you're far more better armed when you get aboard a plane than most people give themselves credit for. So let's take out of your purse all of those objects that TSA defines as dangerous, and let's look back in your purse now. Okay. Did they leave you ballpoint pens?
Oh, I could stab someone in the eye with that, couldn't I?
You bet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, do you have sunglasses or something that you could take the glass out and cut somebody's throat or use to slice open a seatbelt if you had to?
Can you really do that with sunglasses?
It depends on whether they're plastic or real glass.
I mean, so. I've got like glasses that I wear on my face so I can see because I'm a very blind person without them. So you're saying I could take out one of the lenses, and I guess I would need some spare lenses, wouldn't I? Maybe I could just bring a spare set of glasses.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I do recommend for people that have to wear glasses is what happens if your glasses are damaged during the initial, whatever it is, car wreck or bigger tragedy.
Yeah.
So, my wife said to me one day, I actually have a video at survivorjack.com called Survivor Jack versus Airline Security.
Ooh.
And I show, I wear on my wrist, I wear paracord. Could I unbraid those and make, garrots with them to strangle people? Could I take off my belt and use my massive, I wear a belt buckle that's a dragon, very many sharp edges and very heavy.
Do they let you wear the belt buckle?
Never had a question.
Awesome.
So my wife, after I finished shooting the video, she goes, "Gosh, you left out one." I said, "What's that?" And she hands me one of her red high heel shoes with the stiletto blades.
Oh yeah, you can hurt people with those.
Went, you're right. I never even thought about your side of it. I was kind of looking from the male side. I could take off a sock and put all of my keys, my change, my aluminum wallets into that sock, and it would make a lethal swinging device. So I kind of laugh when the TSA takes away the knives, because when we had that massive plane crash in San Francisco where the tail end of the plane clipped the runway and the plane itself slid partway down, then bounced into the air. When it bounced into the air, it opened the chute inside of the plane, and people were pinned to the wall, one of the stewardesses. So they were screaming for knives. So the TSA takes away the only thing we could have saved people with, and they left us at least a half a dozen ways to kill people. So I'm not real fond of them, no. It just doesn't make sense. And if we got into a massive situation where people needed help and we now have no way to cut them out of their seat belts, that just seems like a terrible tragedy to me. And if somebody got aboard who was armed, do you want them to be the only one on board who's armed? Or would you rather have us all go, "Hey, you got a knife? We got a knife too. Here, let us show you."
Yeah, I feel like when you're in places where they say you can't have a knife, you can't have a gun, everyone there suddenly becomes a victim instead of being able to take care of themselves. All right, we have to step away for just a moment. The Angel Clark Show will return. More with Survivor Jack coming up.
Class isn't over. It's just begun.
This is the Angel Clark Show.